Bam, left, right out. Hey, excuse me for my attire. I was just at the gym getting it on. I didn't do a video this whole weekend. A lot of stuff's gone on. Reason being, I was with my daughter, and I didn't want to do anything else besides spend time with her. Um, I wanted to give another analysis or an update on this. We're going to just talk about Ukraine and Russia for a little while, maybe tie in a little economics because it does economics is a battle space. All right, it's one of the many battle spaces in today's age. And one of the things we've done is impose sanctions, which I've told you really not that much in the way of initially, not that much. And let's get into, I want to touch on the propaganda piece, which I was going to get in here in a few minutes. But if you notice, the first thing I noticed is late last week when they were talking about this, and Joe Biden mentioned this Russian stock market down 30% or the ruble at such and such low against dollar. I was like, oh, well, I mean, I guess that's good. But I don't think that, I think it's short lived because they have some, gold reserves and they're willing to raise their interest. They're willing to play around and make sure that they're willing to take that heat and play around and shore up their currency however they need to. But I was like, well, maybe that is good. Maybe I'll have to backtrack and say, hey, they're getting hit a little bit. But what I noticed is in the EU, they said the same damn thing, like word for word. They kept gloating the stock market crash or 30% correction or whatever in a day. And if that's it sounded very scripted. And as we all know, stock market, sorry for the cough, but I said I just got to jump. If stock markets go up and go down, and yeah, there'll be reaction, but you don't see the Russian Putin saying, "Oh, hey, look at the Dow went down 1,000 points or whatever." It's not a good basis it's not a good in state. All right, just to look at that as an accomplishment. Now, if you crash their currency, hey, that is a excuse me, that is an accomplishment in a sense tactically. I mean, it hurts their people a lot, but it also can put the kibosh on the military aspirations there. But I don't see that happening. They're a little bit, actually, they're better off than we are when it comes to the currency. But what did hurt them, I will say this: the SWIFT system. Damn microphone. Getting that getting off the SWIFT system, that will hurt their banks initially. Because there's a lot of swaps and a lot of reserves, and I know a lot of their foreign reserves, they're having trouble accessing or to get them to help stabilize their rubles. Because at first, that's one of the reasons why the ruble crashed a little bit, is they didn't have any ability to get their foreign reserves in order to solidify their currency there. But what else was I going to get into? So I posted something. It was I believe it was on Zero Hedge. While we go through all this, and this is ever changing. When we're not used to like an actual war. Okay, the war on terrorism, yeah, that was a war, but not in the same sense as what we're seeing right now. During that war, we got one-sided propaganda ops. I'll say psyops because that is a military terminology. It is a battle space as well, and psyops was strong with us. We got to rally us behind what our operations were going over there. And we found out later on that a lot of it was BS, right? Well, right now we're getting real-time experience from two different sides on psychological warfare, propaganda pieces. And you could see that somebody put this together. If it's still up there, you could do a little research yourself. Perhaps not Google. Google's dog shit nowadays, I'll be totally honest. I mean, I think I was Googling something biblically and it was pulling up all kinds of weird stuff, not even like good sources for some biblical stuff that I was looking into. But anyway, some guy put a collage together and posted these photos that were taken years ago or were presented as present day. Some of the false stories like the Snake Island thing, which like I said, I wish that was true. Turns out they were captured. It's not to say that they didn't like valiantly defend the island. We got to look at it that way. We don't know what actually happened. The Ghost of Kiev, that bugged me when I first heard it. I was like, really? I mean, I hope that is true. I really do, because it would rally people. But more than likely, that's a propaganda piece. And I've said that from the beginning when I first heard it. I was like, man, I really wish that was fact, but I doubt it. It just airs of a propaganda piece in order to rally people, which they're trying to rally their guys. They're trying to rally people to their cause. I get it. and the excuse me. So if you look at that and you look at like a Fox News, they are rattling the war drums for the Ukrainian side, which I don't blame them. I want to say this because I don't want you to think I'm like pro-Russian or anything. Hey, this right here, like this, I got a few other things. This was given to me by a Ukrainian platoon commander, a lieutenant uh, for a Ukrainian Marine platoon that I helped train. And some of those guys have been in the thick of this stuff, and Godspeed to them. And I hope that they're doing all okay. But regardless of those facts of my personal ties to the Ukrainian military through my service in the Marine Corps, I still got to look at this objectively, because if you don't have the truth, then it's hard to make good, wise decisions, tactical decisions, and more lives are lost that way. But on the ground, those guys know what they need to do, and hopefully they'll do it. I hope so. I really do. There's a lot of intel we don't have, and that's why I'm getting the propaganda stuff. The propaganda stuff that's coming out from the Russian side is that the Ukrainians are surrendering left and right. That they're the ones that are shelling the cities, that they're putting in artillery pieces in the midst of civilian housing, which, I'll say this. So that's on the Russian side. You can pull up RT if you can still get it. It was down for a while, but you'll see that that's slanted. Doesn't mean there's not good news. There's not good intelligence there, but you have to be able to discern that. And let's be honest, most Americans can't discern shit. They can't discern themselves out of a paper bag. All right, a wet one there, but so that's why propaganda or psyops is so prevalent. It's used. It was used during COVID too, but. So you go to the Fox News sites and everything is the Ukrainians stalled the Russians. The Ukrainians are doing this. Russians haven't got the airspace completely under control. But here, the real truth lies somewhere in the middle. What we can discern now is and I have pretty at today, February 28th, I would say with relative confidence, I had to make a decision on the ground. I'd say that the Ukrainians have been successful at interdicting and really causing some chaos on the Russian side, causing them to stall. But the Russians have done that to themselves a little bit too. It appears logistically, logistics is the backbone of warfare. I'll just tell you that. Because you can win a battle quickly and you can drive in there. But if you don't have the logistics, it's hard to have that sustaining power. And that's what the U.S. Army is super good at, logistics. The Marine Corps, we're taught, because logistics suck ass so bad, comms, we are taught to live off what we can get, to find things of opportunity. If the tank goes down, I guess we got to leave it. We got to jump into a Toyota that we find. We got to make shift stuff. All right. We are like a utility tool, but most armies aren't like that. And the Russians are no exception. That's why our army is so good at logistics. If you've ever been in the service, especially on the officer side, and you see the planning, or at least for the lower levels, when you actually learn how to plan and put together 5-paragraph orders and all that jazz, the Army's logistics section is a lot more detailed. Not that the Marines aren't detailed, but they really grade high on, or they really grade scrupulously on that logistics portion of it. Having said that, that's why you see there are some verified videos of Russian tanks and the like, and APCs, armored personnel carriers, and some other deals that are running out of gas. And somehow they're just able to stop inside the road, but whatever. They're waiting for supplies. And right now what we're seeing here is these little tactical pauses that are happening, whatever Putin is negotiating or whatever the case may be, those are opportunities for them to resupply and get things together as they advance into the country. What else was I getting into? There's something there. But anyway, the Ukrainians, this is... or what I was going to say. Okay. So yeah. So if you look at the lines, I wish I could post the video or the map, the tactical map, that we kind of have a good situational awareness of what things are going on in the various fronts of the war, because there's multiple fronts in this thing. Now, the one thing I was listening to some of the Fox News, they're talking about the air, because that is ultimately what's going to win this at this moment. Because the Ukrainian, as further west, I've said this, the further west that Putin goes in Ukraine, the more resistance he's going to find, because as you go further west, as you go further east, there's more Russian speakers and ethnic Russians that are more supportive of the cause. As you go west from Kiev, west to Lviv, people hate Putin. Like, if you ever walk the streets over there, people just hate him. They have toilet paper with his face on there. That's where you're going to get in the guerrilla style warfare. if he gets in there. I hope. Well, I don't know. I hope he doesn't do that. I hope he stops at the geographical locations there, where it's just that river system that goes through the center of the country, and allows the rest of Ukraine to exist, as Ukraine, because just you got ethnic differences and just political differences. It would just make sense to stop there. I don't know if he will. It looks like Ukraine. It looks like Lviv has had some sirens, and there possibly could be some air raids there. Of course, Russia's. I know I'm just kind of going off on rabbit holes now. I'm just like throwing stuff out there. But Russia has said that they don't want to occupy to the UN. I don't know if that's true. See, we're getting a very skewed perspective of Putin over here. I'll get into something else. This goes to the propaganda ops. So you can look into the not social media propaganda that's meant to get you to look at one side as subhuman, right? The Russians. They're not, man. They have an excellent military. They have families. They have kids just like us, and the Ukrainians do too. Like I said, I've met there are a lot of good people over there. That was one of the countries. If I ever had to leave the States, I wanted to go live in Ukraine. I absolutely loved it over there. And I only got there military since I didn't even get to spend a whole lot of time out there. But the people are great, and it reminds me of like a 1950s America. Man, excuse me. But the Russians, I mean, you could look at, watch some of the documentary. I mean, they're people too. They got families. If you watch some of the stuff from their soldiers, super well trained guys. Spetsnaz are right up there. I guess there's a human aspect. So don't just believe everything the Fox News and all these guys are telling you, that everything that Putin's a madman, and that all these guys are just kind of subhumans, that they're killing civilians. I don't think they're purposely killing civilians. But like I said, on the propaganda piece, like on the Russian scene, that the Ukrainians are over there putting these artillery pieces in the neighborhoods and whatnot. They might have been, I've heard of things like that, especially in the separatist areas. And they are partially probably right when it comes, because there are neo-Nazi factions in Ukraine. I remember being over there talking about it. And it was actually part of, some of the groups that we were kind of leery about. So there are like whole, like kind of Nazi-esque people that are within Ukraine, these Nazi nationalists. I guess that's kind of oxymoron. It's a nationalist party, but anyway, they are like white supremacist type extremists, right? But the vast majority of Ukrainians aren't like them. That's a small group, and that's one of the excuses the Russians are using against it. But they are there. I mean, we can't ignore that, right? But Putin is not a madman. Like, you have to look into a little bit of this history, all right, and a little bit of the ethnic ties here and there, and what Putin has said in his speeches. So don't just believe. I'm already at 13 minutes here, so I can't get into it too much, and I got to go do something. But look and do your own research a little bit away from the Fox News, away from Google. Okay, Google is now a full-on psyop, where it's propaganda piece. They're utilizing their algorithms to show you certain stuff, so you might have to go elsewhere. DuckDuckGo, even look up RT. Now, just when you look up things like that, just keep your discernment goggles on, and realize that not everything they're telling you is the truth. It is coming from a different side, but it gives you a little bit of more, it helps you see the truth. All right. So there's some talks. I don't know what happened to those talks. I know they were logistically trying to, Zelensky and the delegation from Ukraine, they were trying to get the Belarus to have talked, but other things. So I don't know what's going on there. You probably know more than I do on that front. I know Putin has raised his nuclear alert at home, which is pretty alarming. Here's the thing. I don't think they're going to... The first thing, I don't think they'll shoot ICBMs the first thing off. Now, if you were tactically, you just wanted to win the war, yeah, you could just... Subsonic missiles or ICBMs over here, I don't even know if we'd be able to stop them. But I don't think that. They have tactical nuclear weapons, which be employed on the battlefield in strategic locations. They also have suitcase nukes. We've known for a long time that there's some like 32 that are missing. Upwards of that. Who knows what the real number is. There's some interesting rumors about the whole Chernobyl thing. I mean, I'm just shooting off some interesting stuff you should look into. But tactically, Russians, if they're going to utilize this stuff, I don't know. It would have to be such a swift attack because that would literally bring in all the NATO nations. So I don't know if he's posturing on that. I think he's ahead of us on the OODA loop. I think he's acting and we're reacting. And that's usually not a good thing in the battlefield or on the strategic level. So, I don't know, man. You got to think of second and third order effects, like I've talked about before. Taiwan, You have Finland. That was the other thing I mentioned. The last one, Finland wanting to join NATO. Do you let them in the NATO, and then maybe you can change the OODA loop there, and then you start really maneuvering troops. But then you have a possibility of escalating things. So here's the thing, though, and this is to keep this in your brain housing group. So you got it. I hope there's people up there with Biden. They're brainstorming all this stuff. So I'm giving you all the stuff that I'm brainstorming in my mind. It's okay. So you sanction Putin like this, right? You're cutting him off out of the world stage. The history of tariffs or things like that happen of this nature usually drive countries into war. It forces them to react because of deteriorating situations back home from whatever ramifications that taking place through these kind of implementations of these kind of policies. So you have to weigh the fact that are we going to drive Russia into a further escalate the war through this? Because this is if you look at the tariffs, some of the SWIFT thing especially, which I neither agree with or disagree with some of this because I'd like to utilize their energy because right now we're kind of it's not looking good over here. But we look at this through an economic warfare thing because this is one dynamic in warfare, economics. If you remember, this isn't the first time like you try to isolate someone economically. Hitler was going to do that with England. Now, if this is a little known operation that was happening. It never got deployed, I don't believe, but it was going to happen. Hitler was going to, or the Third Reich or whatever, the Nazi government, they were going to print up as many British pounds as they could, and instead of just bombing England, their thought was they were going to literally bomb through with bombers, just drop however much, I can't remember the exact number of currency just all over England, and just hopefully simultaneously while they're attacking, crash their economy. So economics has been warfare for a long time, and this is a shot across Putin's bow, but it's like I said, it's reaction, and it's not Putin's acting, we're reacting. Like I said, it's not good. But okay, here's second, third order effect. Second order effect of that kind of action is you possibly then drive us into World War III, even further. If not, this might be, according to the East, let's call Russia, China, India the East, right? They all hate each other, but we've driven them kind of together in a sense, and we're driving them together. But their view is the World War is already here, man. It's already been here. It's been here for years, and they've been acting. For us, this might be the first battle of the World War III. In the mindset of many, now there could be bigger players up there that this is all like a prequel Star Wars theme deal. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so third order effect on this. This is what I'm looking at. There could be different second, third order effects in different commanders' minds, but that's why you have a round table of military minds and then also civilian minds together, trying to come up with plausible COAs or courses of action or plausible enemy courses of action. To me, this lines up for Taiwan weakness. China's seeing this. We won't do anything if they take Taiwan at this moment, even with the treaty. And if we do, I would actually hope we wouldn't at this point until we get some real leadership in there. Because if we do right now, I have little faith that we would actually have a succinct, well thought out plan that could be actionable, that wouldn't just kill us all or wouldn't just fall apart, right? And this goes to another thing. I was listening to Rob O'Neill, who's from my home state as well, and then Dakota Meyer. They're on like Megyn Kelly, which I listen to her because she's on my satellite radio, but I don't necessarily agree with her a lot. But they were talking about accountability in the military, and they were absolutely correct. And it kind of embarrasses me. I was enlisted, and then I became an officer. But sometimes when it comes to that, it embarrasses me as an officer. Of course, I was one that I chew other officers out, and my list guys love me for it. But I chew people out I'd either love me or you didn't. And sometimes these other guys would wonder why I was the way I was, is because I believed in that accountability portion. And yeah, we are leaders, and there's special trust and confidence in that. But I never got this, I got to speak with like Lieutenant Colonel or Colonel full birds, and every once in a while I had to drink with a couple generals here and there. But here's the thing with them. There's no accountability up there, man, and they're right. Lieutenant Colonel Schutzler, who is other than honorable discharge out of the Marine Corps for calling for accountability. There is no accountability up there. That needs to change. It needs to change Ricky Tick too, because the world is changing, and the world is changing fast. What happens in this next, we'll call it World War III. It's already occurring. You have these almost like pent up energy, super fast things happening, super fast things developing, and then a pause. So if you look at that from a battlefield perspective in war, there's things happen fast, and then you have like almost like a tactical pause. You're in the eye of the hurricane, or however many eyes there are in the hurricane. And then things develop rapidly, and then a pause. So you can't mistake those pauses for peace. So we're going on from here on out, we have to look at this differently. I'm not saying that's just from my tactical mindset. That's from my military mindset. I mean, if I'm in the military, if I was back active duty, this is where I'd be, brainstorming with other officers about like, hey, we got to change our mindset about this stuff. We got to make sure our guys are ready on the ground level to operate in this kind of battle space. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm already 21 minutes. I'm just rambling on about crap. But Godspeed to my Ukrainian brethren, and then if I don't know if any of my former Marines ever listened to it that we were over there, and hey, you guys, you did something that matters when we were over there training those dudes, hanging out with them, showing them how we act and how we carry ourselves, and hopefully the guys that are still serving that we were with keep that in their mind. Hopefully we impacted them to a great extent where they will help them on the battlefield. And I pray for their families too. I hope they get their family safe. I hope there's a lot of little girls and boys and wives and all the children, and I just hope that they don't have to lose any fathers or mothers for that. I mean, there's a lot of women that are serving in the military over there. A lot of beautiful women. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of beautiful women over there. But anyway, like, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Peace.